It's been 40 years since a traumatic event rattled a small town in Illinois on Halloween night. Most of the residents don't remember the event, or they've just simply gotten over it. The night was an anomaly. To be quite honest, only a few people were murdered, and people have seemed to forget the events of that 1978 night in Illinois. That night is seen as a moment in time so far back it doesn't even seem real. But it remains real to one of the survivors. She prepares for the night when the boogeyman will once again return to her small town and terrorize the residents for one more Halloween night. This is It Records. Welcome back to the It Records podcast.
Halloween edition.
I'll add the air horn. I'll take my effect out. Yeah.
You paid that shit? You paid that dividends for that royalty-free music?
I do, yeah. I buy all that royalty-free music.
Testing 1, 2, 3. We're on.
We're here to investigate a patient that killed 3 innocent teenagers on a Halloween in 1978. He was shot by his own psychiatrist and taken into custody that night, and has spent the last 40 years in captivity. Hello, Michael. I have something you might like to see.
Everyone in my family, turns into a nutcase this time of year. Yeah, I mean, your grandmother is Laurie Strode. She was almost murdered.
Wasn't it her brother who murdered all those babysitters?
No, it was not her brother. That's something that people made up.
Do you know that I pray every night that he would escape?
What the hell did you do that for?
So I can kill him.
Dad, look out!
The bus crashed.
Mom, what bus crashed?
Michael escaped.
Excuse me, somebody's in here.
Hello?
He's waited for this night. He's waited for me. I've waited for him. Get out! Go home! Get inside! You don't believe in the boogeyman? He's here! Michael! You should.
Can you close the closet door?
So if you didn't pick up on it, this is the Halloween edition A, but from our intro, we're doing Halloween this week. And
2018. 2018 as in the one that just came out. First time for us doing a new movie.
yeah, it's pretty exciting.
I guess the closest we had, I think, was... Oh, God, what was it called?
Get Out.
Yeah, it was like a year, I would say.
True.
But Belko Experiment, I think, was the most it was the closest to it being in theaters, because as soon as it hit the DVD, we picked up on it right away. I think it was the closest we had to a new movie, but Get Out was over a year.
That's true.
Of it being out.
Which I thought was pretty recent for us, but that's true.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this one's just super recent. It's been out a week, and
Yeah. So I guess how are we gonna do it? Spoilers here? Are we just gonna full out just say we're gonna spoil and then try not to spoil as much, or I guess we should have talked to it before we recorded, but
Yeah.
We don't do that
We're
here.
just winging it. We're going in. I would say we can say spoiler alert, but we have to bring up some elements that might seem like spoilers if you haven't seen it. So we'll just preface something that you think might be a huge plot point to the movie.
We'll put it in the title too, just so people don't get mad, because it is so new that I would hate to spoil a new movie like that.
This is 2018 Halloween by, oh man, I already forgot his name.
David Gordon Green.
David Gordon Green. You know, every time I think of his name, I want to think of David Alan Grier. For some weird reason, that's the name that pops in my head, and I'm like, that's not the right person. They did not direct Halloween. But yeah, David Gordon Green, and he was one of the writers, along with Danny McBride. If you don't know, Danny McBride is basically that curly-headed guy who's in a lot of the comedies you know, and Eastbound and Down, the TV show. And David Gordon Green directed a lot of the movies they were in together, like Pineapple Express and Your Highness. And David Gordon Green is known for a lot of indie movies, to put it more specifically.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many of his indie movies. I would say it's just been like Pineapple Express and Your Highness and Eastbound and Down I'm familiar with.
I saw you've seen like Pineapple Express and Your Highness, and I mentioned that I've seen Prince Avalanche by David Gordon Green, which was...
Oh, I forgot about Prince Avalanche.
Yeah, the Paul Rudd and Emile Hirsch, and I thought that was really a good film, but it's a far cry from...
Yeah, you turned me to that movie, and I liked it a lot.
Did I? Did I really?
Yeah, you did.
Wow.
Yeah, you did.
Great. I'm glad I did. Yeah, it's a good one.
I forgot when, but it was definitely you told me to... I think it was like... I literally watched it as soon as you told me to. I think we were either recording another episode, like early on, because I was like at Netflix at the time.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. So great. You know of Prince Avalanche.
But...
Yeah. Enough of... We'll get into David Gordon Grier's directing abilities as we go over Halloween 2018. Which, for if you don't know, is the film takes place 40 years after the original, Halloween 1978. And we have Laurie back at it again in the hometown of Haydenfield on Halloween night.
And it's like... I think I like how... So I don't know how you were for first impressions of like the trailer, like how they just like completely disregarded all the movies, and I was like, that's a bold move, but I was like, they've done it before. Yeah. They've done it in H2O, which I thought was funny because like Jamie Lee Curtis is in H2O 20 years later. This is 40 years later, and then what they do with H2O is that they do 1, 2 is canon, 3, 4, 5, 6 didn't happen. Then here comes 7, and then they kill her off in 8 because 7 did so well that they wanted to do another one. And here comes this movie. It's just like, oh, that didn't happen. This is just a direct sequel to the first one.
Continuity issues here.
But that's the beauty of horror movies, because they're the only people that do that. There's so many other movies that just retcon shit, and they're all horror movies. I don't think any other franchise can say that they can do that. Like, can you imagine, like, all the mad Star Wars fans that want another Star Wars movie to just like, oh, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But that's never gonna happen. At least not as far as I'm alive, I would say. Because I'm stopping it single-handedly.
It was a bit shocking. I mean, I wasn't surprised you said it happens in the horror genre all the time. But to be like, 1978 is the first one, and now this one, 40 years later. Everything else, forget it. Never happened. So
which works out well for me, because I haven't seen any of those.
It's perfect then, yeah.
I would say still watch them. Like, there's still some good ones in there. You don't have to watch Resurrection. I would say you don't have to watch Resurrection or Curse of Michael Myers, but all the other ones are pretty solid in my opinion.
Or Season of the Witch has no Michael. If you want a movie that has Michael, don't go to the third one.
I have problems with that one because like that's such like a like it's like the lost child, I guess, like of like horror fans because they like it because it got so much hate like early on, and that's why like all the movies after are like, don't worry, Michael Myers is back because he's in the fucking title. But like I think the idea is interesting because like I don't know if this is true because it seemed like John Carpenter never wanted a sequel to Halloween, but if he did stuff related to it's what Season of the Witch was gonna be, like how the follow up to Halloween would have been like Season of the Witch, like it's just a different thing happening on Halloween night.
Yeah.
I think was like the intended idea, and that just came out after the second one, which people were like, wait, what the fuck's going on? Where's Michael Myers?
Yeah, I think you're right, because knowing John Carpenter, he made Halloween because he was impressed with Black Christmas, which is he wanted to make a horror movie around like a holiday, and do like a string of those. So I feel like he just wanted to do Halloween, the original with Michael Myers, and he might have moved to a different holiday, or as you put it, like it's something else but on Halloween. It's something different. Now it's not going to be a string of Michaels. I don't think Carpenter envisioned that at all. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's weird because like he has like I've been listening since it's been Halloween season. There's been a podcast that popped up called Halloween Unmasked, and they really go into great detail about behind the scenes of all the Halloween movies, mainly the new one and the old one, like the original one. But it's really good, and I can't remember the film critic's name, but she's like she knows her shit obviously because she's a film critic. And she talks to like Danny McBride, David Gordon Green, and John Carpenter and Jamie Lee Curtis. She gets like all the good people. Jason Blum. She gets all the big names where we're over here just talking about Michael Myers. But she talks about like how John Carpenter was so opposed to this originally, like making the new one, and then like Jason Blum was like, I'm not gonna do it unless you're happy, and like unless we have Jamie Lee Curtis on board too.
I think that was the way to go.
And then it was like a 14-minute pitch that he did, and he said that was like the most intense like pitch he's ever had to do.
Yeah, I bet. But yeah, Carpenter signed off on it and didn't direct clearly or write.
Did the music?
Yeah. Did the music for this one as well. Was it his son or his daughter? I thought I saw a second Carpenter up there with him, right?
I would say probably. I think he has a son that does music too.
Yeah, because there was two Carpenters that did the music. I was like, oh, that's got to be his son that's doing this movie with him. Mm-hmm.
But I guess now we could kind of go on track back to the movie since we're talking about so much of like behind the scenes. We're not even talking about that. We haven't even talked about the movie yet. I liked it. So I'll do a little spoiler-free stuff for a while as much as I can, but it's going to be pretty hard because we spoil stuff all the time. But I like that they, even though they retcon the whole series, they still make a lot of nods. I didn't even notice all of them. Like, I've talked about it with other, like, friends of mine that like, oh, yeah, did you notice that? I was like, oh, I didn't know that was in that Halloween. Like, they made references to pretty much all the Halloween movies that came before, because Danny McBride and David Gordon Green are such huge fans of Halloween. And they said the reason why they had to do it is because they couldn't find a way to connect it to all the movies. So most of the movies got scrapped right away because it was impossible to connect all of them together to this next movie. And so like, for a while, like Halloween 1 and 2 were the only ones that were left, and this was going to be a follow-up to the second one. But then like the whole sister thing, spoilers if you haven't seen Halloween 2, but I actually didn't know Laurie Strode was his sister for the longest time, because I didn't see Halloween 2. I saw the sequels afterwards. Like I saw Halloween 2 is one of the last Halloween movies I've seen. Like I saw them all out of order, and I was like, oh yeah. I was like, I didn't know he was his sister. She was his sister. That surprised me, but I think it works out better for the franchise that it's not, because it brings Michael Myers back to the original force that John Carpenter intended it to be, because it was like this like weird in between of a man and like a supernatural force. Like you just don't quite know. Like if he's trying to kill his sister, that kind of like that makes him more of a person than like him just like killing for whatever reason. Like, he's just killing people just because he's evil incarnate.
Yeah, he doesn't have a motive. That was why the first one was so terrible. He was the Shape, or the Boogeyman, is because nobody knew what Michael was. He was a serial killer who broke out of an insane asylum and was coming after these kids in a nearby town where he grew up. And the other ones tried to give him a motive and a backstory, but that's what made Michael so ominous in the first one, is you didn't know any of that. And he was just terrorizing everybody. And they went back to that. Except that he's...
Yeah, they almost made Michael Myers into, like, an anti-hero a little bit. Like, even though he's, like, hard to, like, oh, I can't get behind Michael Myers killing people, but he's the reason why I'm seeing these movies.
Yeah.
But this gave, like, a different, like you see, like, how Jamie Lee Curtis's character is doing. You see, like, how, like, Haddonfield has evolved for 40 years, and it's just, like, your ordinary town, but, like, you have Laurie Strode fucked up, like, 40 years later. Like, she's just, like, complete, I would say, survivalist. It's, like, also isolated herself. She's, like, not with her family because she had her daughter taken away from her when she was younger. Because she tried to prepare her every day for Michael Myers. Like, every day Michael Myers could come back, and she lived like that for 40 years.
Yeah, it really shows the long-term effects of the 1978, right? 40 years later. So we see all of the aftermath from that.
Yeah. I think that was... They did a really good job of developing her in that sense where it might seem cliche to make her like the survivalist where she's going to kill Michael. She's ready for him, but I think they did a good job of developing her character that it added to the lore of Michael being this supernatural evil incarnate, as you said, Pete, where she was like, no, it's just like I looked into his eyes and there's nothing there. Like, it's not a person. It's the boogeyman. She called him the boogeyman. She's like, I'm just terrified. He's not, I know he's out there and he will come back. Like, because it was a good idea. It was a good idea to show that there is that supernatural element to this movie again. It's not just Michael going on a killing spree.
Yeah, the only thing supernatural about the previous Halloween movies is that he just kept coming back. Like, but he was just trying to kill his bloodline for whatever reason. Because, like, the most interesting take that the series took in, like, the fourth one is that I think her name's Danielle Harris, that actress who she's in a decent amount of horror movies, but I think her name's Danielle Harris, and she's in 4 and 5, and it's like Laurie Strode's daughter in that series, but Laurie Strode is dead, and she has like the evil in her. At the end of 4, she's wearing a clown mask and has a knife, and like I think she kills someone. I can't really remember. So it shows that like the evil can be passed on, and it was like kind of like a surprising thing, and like that was interesting. But then in 5, they like completely, they almost like disregarded the ending of 4. they're like she's still here, and she seems like a normal teenager. Yeah. It was just weird that they just didn't take it further. Like they could have like, I think I like that angle of where they took that. It was like kind of like evil being passed down. Like that's kind of cool. But they didn't like it. Just kind of stopped after that. But like this is just Michael Myers is this kid who grew up in an insane asylum that killed his sister 40 years ago, basically, or even longer. Probably
it was 15 years, I think, before the first movie. So
okay, so 65
supposed
years.
To be like,
is that right? Or 55? I don't know. I can't do math right now. And the nice thing about this is that Nick Castle, the guy who played the Shape, one of the people who played the Shape in the original movie, is back, and he's still as menacing as ever. And they like show his face briefly, which I was like kind of surprised by. Like you only see it once in the original movie, and they show you like glimpses, like profiles, and like him being obscured by like branches and like other things. And like I like that they didn't fully reveal his face. I don't know, kind of like you like wanted to see it, but you didn't want to. It kind of like added like another thing to it. And I love the way, I know it's kind of like I'm going all over the place, but I'm trying not to spoil it for as long as I can. I love how this movie opens up. It got me so fucking psyched for Halloween, the holiday. Like it was this like these two podcast journalists investigating the babysitter murders. Original title of Halloween, by the way. And they're trying to provoke Michael with the mask, and then it's like very tense because like everyone else around Michael Myers is freaking out, like the dogs, the patients, and like, and then it just goes to like the classic opening of like the jack-o'-lantern and like the music, and I'm like fuck yeah, I'm so psyched for this movie.
Yeah, I really like that too, because it sort of builds up that tension where the dog's barking, the people are screaming, he's holding up the mask, and he's like, say something, and it cuts right to Halloween, and it's got the pumpkin, like from the original, that they zoom in on, but it like, they do the same thing, but it like inflates, because there's like a crushed pumpkin in this one, and it slowly grows back into life.
Yeah.
And they zoom in on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then that old producer that was he produced the I literally can't remember his name because it's really hard to pronounce, but he was a producer for literally all of them except for the first one. They're like, because it wasn't John Carpenter's Halloween, obviously, as you saw. It said Halloween, and it's like I can't even. I know he's from the Middle East. That's all I really know. That's really bad. Did I know? But his name starts with an A, and it's like presents. Like he's like been the producer, and like his son I think like has been a producer for like so many Halloween movies. Like literally all like that family has been like involved with Halloween since like the second one, the original second one.
Interesting.
I'll look up his name because now I feel bad that I don't remember.
Yeah, and as you do that, in this movie, and you mentioned there's a lot of like references to the original, or even just the series at large. So it'd be interesting to pick out some of those that are more subtle, but one that was like that really got me, and I was like nudging my girlfriend next to me when I saw it, was when in this movie there's Laurie, Jamie Lee Curtis, her daughter, and then she has a daughter. Her granddaughter is another central lead in this movie. So it's like three generations of Laurie in this film. And it shows her granddaughter in a high school class, and they're going over this lecture on fate, which is literally the same exact shot, angle in 1978 when Jamie Lee Curtis is in that seat. And it's the same lecture.
It's the same conversation. It's the same lecture.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
That I did not know. That's pretty cool.
From the original? And I was like so pumped. And then they cut outside, which in the original was Michael staring at Laurie. But then they cut outside and the granddaughter's looking at Laurie. Jamie Lee Curtis is out there waiting for her granddaughter. So I thought that was just a cool homage to the original and just a different take.
Yeah, I mean, the relationship between Laurie and, her daughter and her family is pretty strained, I would say, because of, all of the PTSD that has been going on with Laurie, I think. So that's kind of, obviously not quite the same effect, seeing your grandmother standing out there staring at you as Michael Myers, but, probably still pretty jarring. And then she's got, like $3,000 for you. So,
oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
More of a positive connotation in general, though.
Mm-hmm. You got that name, Pete?
I'm, honestly, struggling right now. I saw that the guy from this one was Malik Akkad, and I could have sworn that name was familiar to me. But I'm not seeing it I'm going through all the fucking Halloween movies, and they're just all produced by someone else, and I could have sworn I've seen it before, but I'm not finding it off my first glance with Wikipedia. So I'm just gonna call it a wash, and that I mistakenly thought I've seen that name before.
I don't want to spoil too much, but
We're almost at that point.
yeah, I would just say from here on out, because we're going to be talking about the plot and the ending, we're getting there, that there's going to be some spoilers here coming up. But other than the homages, if you have something you want to bring up, but is there anything that particularly stood out to you about a death scene or the filming of this one?
I think you care about the characters, like, so in the first one you care about the characters like more because you get a little bit of this kind of like their day-to-day life before Michael Myers attacks, and I think this one also does it where the other ones didn't. It's like more focused on Michael, and like this one is of course focused on Michael too, but like you get little snippets of like each character. You like you care about the daughter and you care about like her friend, and then like you see like her like with her boyfriend, and then like it seems to be going okay, then like at the dance like she's like, no, fuck you dude for kissing that other girl.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then like I think what I like is like that I saw some criticism for that, like they like Michael Myers movies don't need to be funny, but I was just like, I had no problem with that. I was glad that there was comedy. It kind of like took like it was a nice way of like bringing you back. Like it gave you breaks during tension, and I think that way it makes when scary things do happen, it's scarier rather than if you're just like entirely like waiting for something. I feel like it's not as scary than when you feel safe and then it comes back at you, and then you're like, because you drop your guard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I thought the comedy did like each like side character had like funny things to say. Like you had like the kid in the beginning who was like talking to his dad, and like he was just like, he's like, no, I like hunting, but you know, I like,
just wanna dance.
I just want to go dancing or whatever.
Yeah, dancing is what
And
I
like
wanna
that,
do.
and then that scene was scary. Like I was very scared when he was like looking for his dad.
Oh yeah.
Like on the bus, you had like all these, I don't know if they're technically inmates, but all these people, psych ward. I don't know if I should say that word, but
they're criminally insane.
Yeah.
So
patients, I don't know. Whatever they are, they're all just like walking around, and you're like, holy shit, this part is very tense. And you like, he comes across like a dead guard or a dying guard, and he's like, run. And I'm like, oh
You knew
fuck.
something was gonna happen.
Yeah, and then he shoots the Dr. Loomis character,
Which I felt bad about
Yeah.
at the time, you know. I was like, oh, why'd you have to do that?
Then the new Loomis, as Jamie Lee Curtis calls him.
Yeah, I got a good kick out of that one. That's a meta moment for the old films.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, H2O is pretty meta, so
Oh yeah.
it's like ridiculously meta because it's like post Scream.
Mm-hmm. Was that 2000? H2O?
I thought it was 98.
98. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Well, because if it's 20, if we got it in 2018,
Years, It's
yeah.
98. Yeah.
But I'm glad they brought it back. They brought it back at a good time. I'm happy about this movie. I'm just gonna say it. I was happy watching this, and like I'm gonna say like if it's fine, you don't think it's amazing, but for me, it was like a really great sequel, and it like was more. Since it was like a tighter budget, I feel like it was able to be like the first movie, but like able to do its own thing at the same time. Like they had like financial constraints, which made them like be creative rather than if you throw money at it, the problem will go away. They had to figure out on their own. I really enjoyed the tracking shots with like
Yes.
call back to the first
That was
one,
awesome.
but they're with Michael Myers, and he's going into these houses, and it's like, holy shit, this is crazy. Like it's really intense and really well done.
I thought that was one of the
It
best
is-
like scene sequences of the movie is when he's like walking, it's trick-or-treaters, and he's like walking through all the houses, and it's tracking shots. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that part. It was very spooky and very enjoyable to watch, as you like to be scared when you're watching a scary movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I don't think is necessary, but I get why people want to be.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't like jump scares. It's that terror element. It creates the atmosphere of like
Yeah.
Michael is out there in predator mode, and people are unaware in the dark. So it's just creepy.
I want to bring up two complaints that I've seen on the internet, and I want to see how you guys feel about it. Like, the first complaint I saw was the babysitter. Like, it was her... I don't even remember her name, but she's Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter, and her best friend's a babysitter.
Yeah.
You remember that part? And she's babysitting like a little boy, and he's very funny. Like he's like I gotta get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Like he's like I'm not going. He just has a lot of good lines, and like I saw that people like were really annoyed by like his comedy, and I was like, again with the comedy, it's like I don't get why people have a problem with it.
I thought it brought some relief, as you said, to the tension that was building. So I thought it was like perfectly placed, and had no issue with that.
I agree. Like because there was like so many other characters that also had comedy, like her boyfriend, like the babysitter's boyfriend, like got a tattoo, like this is the night, and then like she's like I'm gonna try to fuck you or something, and I was like what a line. Like that's a crazy ass line.
Yeah. No, I like that kid. I didn't, and that comedy element I thought was good because it almost seemed like that scene in particular was like almost exactly from the original, which was Laurie's friend, it's her granddaughter's friend now, who was babysitting, and she was having her boyfriend come over or whatever, and it was almost going to be identical, but the kid kind of breaks that realm for me where he was like, you guys are going to smoke weed, because she called it something else. He's like, I know you guys are going to bring your friends over and smoke weed here. He's like,
she called it Alakazam. She called it Alakazam.
Yeah. And he's like,
and I was like, the Pokemon?
He just sees right through it, and they're like joking back and forth, so it kind of breaks that element of the original. And it also, I thought it developed her character as her friend, because before that we'd only seen her like once walking on the sidewalk.
Yeah, in the beginning.
Gave her, I thought, a lovable quality of like, oh, she just seems like a normal person. She's like really nice to him, and like she really likes him too. He really likes her too.
Yeah, she's a good babysitter who just likes to smoke weed with her friends. So like probably all babysitters.
Yeah. So it kind of, I thought, grounded her, made me care about her and that little boy. It was a good scene.
And so, it makes me think of, now I remember another complaint. So then one was like, back, since we're talking about the babysitters, like how Michael Myers like was playful and like put her in a sheet and then like kind of decorated the room very quickly. And it was a very tense moment because like, more spoilers here, but she's dead under the sheet, and then like they're like, oh, why is Michael Myers doing that? But like he does that in the first one. Like he does it with the tombstone. Like he killed the babysitter in the original, who looks like Judith Myers, and he put the tombstone there. Yeah. So like it's not like he hasn't done it. Like I feel like everything that has happened in the movie has been like kind of like established already in the franchise, if not already in the first one. Like there's this like a little more comedy because you got fucking Danny McBride writing it. Right. So
yeah,
like I mean, like of course it's gonna happen, and then I took it to my benefit because it made me enjoy the movie even more. Mm-hmm. But the second one, I'm doubling down with the complaints, and then we'll talk about it. But then there was like a really creepy, like after the tracking shot, after he kills like a mom, and then he walks past a crib, and then like
the babe.
Everyone in the theater was like, oh shit, and then this walks by, and then complaints were like, oh, the Michael Myers I know would kill the baby because it wouldn't it humanizes him too much. And, like, I think that's kind of bullshit because, like, there's no rhyme or reason to Michael Myers' killing. Like, he passes by plenty of kids trick-or-treating and he doesn't kill any of them. Yeah. And he killed a kid in the beginning of the movie. The kid that we're talking about dancing, he killed him. Like, he just right. When he wants to kill, he kills. It's like I feel like people are trying to understand him too much when there's, like, the point of Michael Myers is that you don't understand him because he is evil and
there
he kills
is no
when he
clear
wants
motive.
to.
So
yeah,
no, I agree with the baby. Like it creates that tension when people are like, oh, he's gonna kill the baby, which is what they wanted. But yeah, there's no motive to him, and he walks by all the kids trick or treating. He strikes when he wants to. There's no rhyme or reason to it at all. So I think the only reason people complain is because they made such a point about it. Because the baby was crying off camera and he's walking that way. So it'd be like, oh, he's got to kill the baby now. But it's like, no, it's just to make you clearly think like this. Like, oh no, he's going
it's
to. But and if I can go back to you talk about him being playful with the ghost.
yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned a good point about in the original he used the gravestone for Judith Myers when he kills one of the babysitters, but in that same sequence in the movie he wears a ghost sheet. Not only does he put it on, he puts it on the victim in this one, so it's like a role reversal thing, but in the original he wears that before he kills the person who looks like Judith Myers, because the boyfriend, she thinks it's the boyfriend wearing the ghost sheet. So he was more playful almost in that one than this one. It's almost more sadistic in this one to like dress up your victim.
Yeah. It's just like makes him even more like ruthless, because like he's killing way more in this one.
Yeah.
Like they make a joke about it. They're like, oh, like 5 people died back in 1978. That's not that big of a deal by today's standards. Yeah. And then like in this one, and he's killing like fucking, I don't even know what the body count was. It was at least twice that, if not more than that.
Oh yeah, easy. Than in the first one.
He brutally murders those podcasters, though. That's for sure.
Are they the first ones to? Besides, no, the kid was first.
Yeah, he gets them second, and that brings up another complaint I saw. A friend of mine was like, he's like, how the fuck did Michael Myers find the podcasters? I'm like,
do we really?
I was like, I don't care. It's a movie. It's a movie.
Yeah, they were off, like, I don't think he was even searching for the podcasters, because they were off at like a gas station off the road, so they were driving somewhere, and he's heading into town.
They were, so it makes sense. He was coming from they were coming from Jamie Lee Curtis's house, and he was going to Haddonfield. So like they're going to cross paths, and like, and I said to my friend, I'm like, well, the podcaster had a theory that he had a connection to the mask, and I was like, there's your explanation right there if you need one. I didn't really care. I was like, it's just a movie, but like, and then we just even found a better reason, like how they're leaving and he's coming in, and it's a small town, so I don't know. It's not that hard to figure out. We're solving all these problems. Like, what you got next? Complainers, we got it covered. Like, fine, you got complaints, but like, I feel like to me, they're stuff that's been established already. They're just following the formula and making it a little different. That's all.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. That's almost like a critique and a defend of mine for this movie. And I don't want to, full blast go into defend or destroy, but it does a really good job of kind of staying true to the original and like what made it good. I don't think it hits that exactly. It's hard to do that. It's its own film, but it does a really good job of paying homage to it, trying to keep true to the original compared to like 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's completely different than those. So that's why I defend it, but I would have wanted it a little more to like be something a little more original of its own. Because like even Michael breaking out of the bus is the same as the first one. There's a Loomis character. There is a twist there. He's going after Laurie. So the plot is very similar to the original, which kind of makes it enjoyable, but I was hoping just for like a little more of a different spice, if that makes sense.
The only spice that they had that I have a complaint about is that the new Loomis like turned bad, because he wanted to see how, like, if Michael Myers would talk, like what would he say, and he's like, this is how it feels to kill, and he puts on the mask, and I was like, yeah, that part's kind of dumb. Like, I feel like it would have been fine without that part.
Without him.
Like, that's my biggest complaint, and it didn't even bother me that much. It's just like sometimes movies make a dumb decision, and that was one of them for me.
I don't even remember his name, to be honest. Dr. Loomis's character. New Loomis, that's what they call him, so that's what I'm sticking with.
He's dead. Who cares?
Well, I actually think that in an original script, they were going to have Loomis be in the opening scene of this movie. Don't quote me on that, but I'm like 90%. That was like one of the original openings, instead of like what we saw where they're at the insane asylum or the ward where Michael's at. It was going to be Loomis still there with Michael. And then he
obviously really hard to pull off since Donald Pleasance has been dead for
Right.
some time. But they do have his, so the voice that actually, that's not the actual actor. Like I thought, like they just had someone impersonate him to do that recording. And it sounds just like him. Like you remember we hear him talking about Michael Myers, like about like the
tape
case
recorder.
or whatever. Yeah, just like someone doing an impression. What haven't we covered? we're still like not like there's not a lot to spoil about this movie because like you obviously know that Michael Myers is gonna kill people, and that's what he does very well in this movie. And then of course there's the final sequence that I feel like is very great. Yeah. And I think I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think it's a great like kind of like closing point to Jamie Lee Curtis's character of like what she's been preparing for all these years. I think, yeah, and then like, I don't know. What do you think, Lindsay? I feel like you've been kind of quiet.
I think that there's been talk of a sequel to follow. Imagine that. But I really I think it would be good to just kind of leave it here. I think that final showdown was pretty great, and I'm like, okay, I think that the story should end here. So I think they want to see how it does and what the reaction and all of that goes. But I don't know. I hope they leave it alone. I think it did what it was supposed to.
Like you don't want a sequel
Not really,
to this movie?
No, but I mean, there is a contract that Michael Myers is unkillable, so we'll see.
Yeah, I would not be upset if they make a sequel. To be honest, like I enjoyed this movie, and if it's at least like almost as good, like I would be happy because like they leave it in a way to where they could pretty much leave it alone or like do a sequel, which was good. And then they said, like you said, they're going to wait to see how it performs. And it fucking performed because I looked up the box office and it's $126 million off like a $15 million budget.
It's only been a week, too, at this time.
I think it's number one in the box office last week and this week. So the past 2 weekends it's been number one. And I thought it was the number one October movie of all time.
Surprised.
Or horror October movie.
I think, yeah, it definitely is like just got some box office records. I think it was not able to beat Venom in the end, which was the previous
week.
Like they were close. Yeah, like it was like a week apart, I want to say. And Venom made a lot of money, and I think Halloween fell a little short of what Venom made in its first weekend because Halloween made like $77 million. And like Venom, I think Venom had like 80 or something.
Pretty close. But I'd say it's pretty good for a horror movie compared to a Marvel comic, especially in the world of Marvel comic. Everybody goes and sees every one that comes out right now.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are talking about Halloween right now.
Oh yeah. I mean, we are.
I mean, yeah. I mean. Well, it's what we do. We love horror movies, but like, it's nice to see that other people are into it too, or not into it too. Like whatever, as long as they're seeing it, like I don't know, it kind of makes me happy.
This movie was released on Michael Myers' birthday. I read the 19th.
That's hilarious.
So
that's hilarious. Great. I didn't know that was his birthday.
I read it on IMDb.
Oh, there you go.
Do you guys have any final thoughts before we go into our next segment? Like anything you didn't get to talk about?
I don't think so. No, I talked, I feel like, quite a bit.
Yeah, I feel like I was talking a lot.
Oh, there's one thing that I thought was interesting, also kind of a trivia tidbit, but with the role of Allison, I was reading that they were looking at casting some pretty well-known actresses, but in the end they went with an unknown because they wanted to mirror what they did with Jamie Lee back in 1978, also cast as an unknown. So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if they do a sequel in the future, if it'll focus more on that family and Allison as the main character, but I thought it was cool that they ended up going back, to another a reference to the past, I suppose, but interesting.
Yeah.
I hope all three, like if they do a sequel, all three women, like from the family of the Strode family, come back, because that was like a cool dynamic that we haven't seen in a slasher movie. I would say like you have the final girl, but like you don't see like final
Girls.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like from the same family, like they're all surviving together.
Yeah.
And they're really the only ones who are doing anything that's smart. Like, I guess, like, the cop that was there for the original day or whatever, like, he ran him over, so he tried to kill Michael Myers, but then he got distracted by that new Loomis. He's like, I'm gonna stab you in the throat with this hidden scalpel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But with that, we can probably move into Defend or Destroy.
Yeah.
Lead it off,
right.
Lindsay.
I am gonna wholeheartedly defend this movie. I thought it was really well made, and I think as we kind of established, it recaptured a lot of what the original had going for it. The score, truly chilled me to the bone. And I loved it. And like I said, I don't think a sequel is necessary. Wouldn't be surprised if they go there. And, like Pete, I wouldn't be mad about it. But I really think they should keep it there. And, I really liked it. So it's going to be a defend from me.
Would you like to take it, or you want me to roll with it?
No, yeah, I could definitely go. I also defend it, and I hope they make a sequel, because, if they don't, then someone else will.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that, how Jason Blum pitched it to John Carpenter. He's like, if we don't do it, someone else is going to do it, and, you might as well be on the ride and make sure that it goes the way you want it. So I hope, they do a couple movies, and then they can make some shitty ones after that, and then make a really good one again in 20 years. It kind of seems to be the tradition of, making a really good one after 20 years of of it being, somewhat okay.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to like. There's a lot of callbacks to the original, and it being its own movie, it being scary, great score, like you said, Lindsay, and just bringing back Michael's whole mythology to its roots, and making him scary again, and making him comical, or being bested by Busta Rhymes, or or just he's this good old Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm. I'll go then. Round it out. I'm going to defend Halloween 2018.
Why'd you say it like
Just
that?
wanted to build this discussion. For me, I teetered on Defend or Destroy, and only because I wanted, as I said, to see more of a departure from the original, because it seemed like the plot a lot. But on the whole, I just looked at it and I went, it's pretty tight, the acting to the script and everything, and John Carpenter's on board with the score, which was great. So I said, compared to Curse of Michael Myers and stuff, this movie far surpasses it. I'm putting too high of a standard on the Defend or Destroy, because I kind of wanted that departure a little more. So I do defend it. It's a very good horror movie and a Halloween movie. I also liked with the score, it is that original music that you're used to, but also there's times where he slows it down in kind of more serious scenes, but it's still that same da 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 da, but it's just a different adaptation of it, and I thought that was really well done. And there were some new stylistic elements to the film that added to the franchise. So I'm guessing there's going to be a sequel, just because of how successful it was, and then that final shot, you don't see Michael at the very end.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm guessing we'll see Michael another day.
Apparently, you hear breathing there's a post credits. I don't know. I don't know
I
if
did
this
not
is
know
actually
this.
true, but I thought it just ended and I was fine with that. But apparently, you hear him breathing maybe during the credits or something like that.
Yep. Until he's dead, he's dead. We've never seen him die, so.
I mean, he's Michael Myers. He just doesn't die.
Mm-hmm.
His legend will live on.
Well, with that, I think that's unanimous defend from the It Records gang on this Halloween episode of the new Halloween 2018. Go out and see it. Clearly, we recommend it. It's in theater. It's a fun theater movie. I went opening night, and it was like a really cool communal feel to it. People were like cheering on the screen or gasping at the same time. So I hope that's still out there, and go see it as Halloween's approaching. But until next time, I'm Matt Johnson. You and I'll remain in those shadows.
I'm Peter Hansen, and you should do as I say. As Laurie Strode would say to Tommy Doyle and her granddaughter.
I'm Lindsay Clark, and it's about time to face your fate.